The gates of the house were made of bronze, and they had never once been opened for a beggar. Haddan had walked 3 days to reach them. His sandals were worn through. His stomach was a fist closed around nothing. And still, he stood outside the largest estate in all of Babylon, staring up at walls higher than any temple he had prayed in. They say the man who lives here was born with less than you, said the guard at the gate, not unkindly. They say he was a poor scribe's son who could not afford the clay to write on. Haddan did not believe him. How does a man go from nothing to this? Inside those walls lived Arkad, the richest man Babylon had ever known. Kings borrowed from him. Merchants named their ships after him, hoping for luck. And when the city's treasury ran dry after the wars, it was not the king's soldiers who refilled it. It was Arkad's gold. But here is what almost no one in Babylon knew. Arkad had not been born to wealth. He had been born to a family with barely enough grain to last the season. He worked as a copier of laws into clay tablets, paid a few coppers a day, watching richer men ride past him toward lives he assumed he'd never touch. Something changed him. Not luck. Not a gift from the gods. Not a chest of gold he stumbled upon in the desert. A secret. And Arkad did something almost no wealthy man in history has ever done. He wrote the secret down, not for his sons only, not for one king, for anyone patient enough to listen. He called it the law of gold, and he said it plainly. Gold flows to the man who understands a few simple truths, no matter how humble he began, and gold flees from the man who ignores them, no matter how much he inherits. This is the first video in a series where Arkad himself will walk you through every one of those truths. 7 of them in total. He called them cures. Cures for what he named the lean purse, the empty pocket that never seems to fill no matter how hard a man works. You may have heard fragments of his wisdom before, echoed by men centuries later who never knew where it came from. A famous investor once said that the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. A behavioral economist once proved, with real data, that most people can be tricked into saving money they swore they never had. Arkad knew both of these truths 3,000 years before either man was born. He simply used different words. Here is what makes this different from every fable you've watched on this channel before. This is not one story with one lesson. This is Arkad teaching directly the way he once taught a hall of 100 men in Babylon who were desperate enough to beg the king for gold, not knowing that Arkad was about to hand them something worth far more than gold. He was about to hand them the reason gold exists at all. Some of what he taught will sound almost too simple. Save a little before you spend it all. Know the difference between what you need and what you merely want. Let your money work so that it, in turn, hires more money to work beside it. Never risk what took years to build on the promise of a stranger. Own the roof over your head instead of feeding it to a landlord forever. Prepare today for the years when your strength runs out. And never stop growing sharper, wiser, and more valuable at whatever it is you do. Simple to hear, rare to actually live by. That gap between hearing wisdom and living by it is exactly why some men die poor after 40 years of honest work, and other men, no smarter and no luckier, die as the richest in the city. Arkad did not open his bronze gates for Haddan that day because he pitied him. He opened them because Haddan asked the one question that separates every poor man from every rich one in history. Not for gold, Haddan said. Teach me the way to it. Over the next 7 parts of this series, Arkad will teach you exactly what he taught, that hall of 100 men, one law at a time, with the same stories, the same warnings, and the same quiet confidence of a man who has tested every one of these truths against his own life and watched them hold. The moral of the story is this: gold is not won by chance, and it is not reserved for the fortunate. It is grown deliberately from a small number of laws. And in the chapters ahead, Arkad is going to teach you every single one of them.